Hey everybody, it's Amy. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. It's going to be all about why I left the LDS Church, or Mormon Church, and why I decided to come back. So before I go into reasons about why I left the church, I just want to give you some background in my situation. I was 16 years old when I was baptized, and I was the only member of my family to join the LDS Church. And then I went to BYU, Idaho. And that threw me for a spin. I'm this young convert from Florida who goes out to Idaho, and things were just very different. And that's when I learned about LDS culture. Now, in Florida, we had a little bit of culture, but not like in Idaho. So, when I went to Idaho, it was already very different. The weather was extremely different, the people were extremely different, the classes and school that you were taking were very different. So I was experiencing a little bit of culture shock, I would say. But I was able to handle it. I was able to handle all of the changes. Except when I was being told over and over that I had to get married. I was young. I wasn't really dating. I was very awkward, so it was already hard for me to speak to guys. I felt very pressured that I had to get married right then, right there. And that was too much. I could handle the weather, I could handle the classes, I could handle the people, but being told that I had to get married as soon as possible really freaked me out. So that was one thing that made me kind of wary of the church. The problem with that was that it was cultural. It's not part of the gospel. It was confusing to me because at such a young age I thought the culture was part of the gospel. And I couldn't find the line that separated the two. And it was really hard. So eventually I started feeling worthless. My self-esteem had just plummeted. And I started to feel really bad about myself. I decided to come home, back to Florida, after 2 semesters at BYU, Idaho. And I just never went back. Shortly after I got home, I started reading about church history. And a lot of the things that I read about church history really shocked me. I felt lied to by the church. I felt that the entire time that I was part of the gospel, really, it was just fake. So, some of the church history I'm talking about here is Plural marriage, Joseph Smith, Salamander Letters, Mountain Meadow Massacre. So after feeling pressured about getting married, after reading about church history, I stopped going to church. And it's really easy to stop going when you're so hurt. So, fast forward 11 years, and here I am. I started going back to church about 2 months ago now, and it's been interesting. So the reasons why I started going back was in these past 11 years, I've just been really depressed. I've been going from religion to religion to religion, trying to find that same spark that I found in the LDS gospel. I couldn't find it. I was wondering, why am I a spiritual person if I can't find any answers? And then suddenly, it was one night I was just laying down, I was tossing and turning, I couldn't sleep. I realized I am a spiritual person because I am a daughter of God. That feeling was just so strong. And I just knew at that moment that, maybe it's time to go back to church. I'm a different person than when I was as a teenager and young adult. I have more faith now in myself and able to trust myself in how I'm feeling about things to make a judgment call as to whether something's gospel or culture. Whereas before in my youth, I wasn't able to separate the two. Culture was gospel, and that's just not true. So if you're having questions that could make or break you into staying or leaving this gospel, do some research with an open heart. Pray about it. I promise you, somebody is listening. Alright guys, so make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and also make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any videos from me. And I will see you next week. Bye!